the meeting, Putin asked by ABC's Rachel Scott about ongoing Russian attacks.
Mr. Putin, will you agree to a ceasefire?
When former President Donald Trump boarded his plane for Alaska on the way to an anticipated summit with President Vladimir Putin, he framed the central purpose of the meeting in very simple terms. He wanted to secure a ceasefire in the grinding war between Russia and Ukraine, a conflict that had by then stretched on for years and exacted a terrible toll on both soldiers and civilians. Speaking to reporters before departure, Trump said that his priority was to see an end to the fighting, insisting that he would be deeply disappointed if the summit did not produce tangible movement toward halting hostilities. He even warned that failure could trigger severe consequences, though he did not elaborate on what that might mean. But in classic Trump fashion, the words he spoke before the cameras would not remain consistent for long. After the meeting with Putin concluded, Trump dramatically shifted his stance. No longer was a ceasefire the benchmark of success. Instead, in a post on social media, he declared that all sides had concluded the best path forward was not a fragile and temporary ceasefire agreement, but rather the pursuit of a full peace settlement that could bring the conflict to a permanent end. In his words, the best way to end the horrific war between Russia and Ukraine is to go directly to a peace agreement, which would end the war, and not a mere ceasefire agreement, which oftentimes do not hold up. The statement marked a notable reversal and immediately raised eyebrows among international observers. What made the shift even more significant was how closely it aligned Trump with Putin's preferred framing of the war, while at the same time putting him at odds with Ukraine's president, Volodymyr Zelenskyy, who was preparing for yet another high-stakes visit to Washington. Zelenskyy had already experienced firsthand the volatility of Trump's diplomatic style. His last trip to the White House earlier in the year, on February 28th, had spiraled into an unusually public confrontation. Cameras captured Trump bluntly telling Zelenskyy, "You don't have the cards right now," suggesting that Ukraine was in a weak position and would need to make concessions to Moscow in order to avoid further devastation. For many Ukrainians, that moment symbolized the precarious nature of their relationship with Washington under Trump's leadership. Since that diplomatic clash, Kyiv had invested significant energy into repairing ties with Trump, hoping that rebuilding the relationship could secure continued American backing at a time when Ukraine was still under unrelenting Russian attack. Ukrainian officials began to consistently praise Trump's efforts at seeking peace, presenting him as a serious mediator despite past disagreements. When Trump pressed Ukraine to open the door to U.S. access to valuable mineral resources, as part of broader negotiations, Kyiv reluctantly agreed, viewing the deal as a necessary price for keeping Trump engaged on their side.